If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position. They weren't deported. We don't deport U.S. citizens. The parents made that decision, not the United States government.
The Trump administration put 3 children, and the children are United States citizens, and that's an important point here, on deportation flights with their mothers late last week. One of them is a 4-year-old boy with stage 4 cancer who was deported without medication or the ability to contact their doctors, the family's lawyer said. And while the so-called border czar, Tom Homan, says their mothers chose to have their children shipped out of the country with them, it's not at all clear that that's exactly what happened. The mothers were given, quote, given virtually no opportunity to speak with lawyers or their family members.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network. At this point, I don't know how anyone can believe a word this administration says. They are deporting U.S. citizens, children. And when Tom Homan, the border czar, says it's because their mothers wanted it that way, don't buy it. For people like Tom Homan, the cruelty is the point, because for the MAGA extremists whose approval sustains them, cruelty is the air they breathe. It's become a defining feature of their movement. Listen to the applause Tom Homan received when he announced that he was headed to Boston, a city that values and protects its migrant communities, to bring hell.
I'm coming to Boston. I'm bringing hell with me.
This is what we are up against, a brutalist vision of an American future in which the most vulnerable among us are terrified of their government. That is not what America should be. It's certainly not the country I served in uniform. I talked to Kris Goldsmith about this because he is quite possibly this audience's favorite guest, and because he began sounding the alarm about Trump's brutal vision for America long before most of us were even listening. Here's part 1 of our conversation. Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. We've got Kris Goldsmith back, the founder and leader of Task Force Butler, which tracks and holds accountable extremists across the nation. Kris, it's been a while since I've seen you as angry as I did in your last TikTok when you talked about the Trump administration deporting citizen children, ICE rounding up their families and sending these kids back, one of whom had cancer. And it is coming out now that the families wanted those kids to stay.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yeah, it's disgusting, it's disturbing, and it's everything that Donald Trump has been promising. It's what he ran on. It is not a surprise to me, but it still marks a part of history that I am sad that we are all living through, where the President of the United States is knowingly and purposefully deporting citizens of the United States. And I honestly, I don't know that deporting is the right word, because
Explain
you don't
that,
deport.
That was the thing that really jumped out. It's not deporting, it's something else.
Yeah. If you're removing your own country's citizens and you're kicking them out, that is not deporting, that is human trafficking. And that is what has been normalized in this government. See, I think that a lot of people see these men, and that's what the propaganda is all about, right? That is what the Trump administration and foreign dictators are really focused on is the men, because they feel like Americans won't be as sympathetic when they see men, treated like terrorists. Uber drivers and painters are being treated like they're members of Al Qaeda or something like that. And frankly, we shouldn't be treating anyone like that. Human rights exist for all. But what is getting out now is that the same ugliness is also happening to children who are U.S. citizens. And I don't think that deportation is the right word. I think it is human trafficking. And hypocrisy is not something we're never going to have a gotcha thing with MAGA, because they're incapable of recognizing hypocrisy. They're incapable of shame. Instead of trying to appeal to MAGA's better nature, because it does not exist, I want to appeal to people who are on the sidelines, who thought that we would never face the day where a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 9-year-old American child who is a citizen of the United States, who was born here, who has cancer, is kidnapped by the American government and sent to a foreign country where they have no support systems, no access to medicine, no way to contact their doctors. And now let me address something real quick, because anyone who's watching conservative news, or even mainstream news that allows conservative propagandists to come on, like CNN has the Trumpian point of view because they feel that's in the fair interest of fairness. They are going to say, well, the family was given the choice, and the mother said, no, I want to keep my child with me. And the mother's being deported, and they're taking the American citizen with them. I want people to imagine what this mother is going through in the moment. We have heard the stories from the lawyers of these families where the women are effectively kidnapped during scheduled meetings with immigration so that they can try and get their paperwork straight. They have brought their children with them. So when they're brought into custody, the children go with them. They don't get the right to make a phone call. They are instead just processed for deportation. So they are in the moment when they are absolutely terrified at the fact of they thought they're going to a meeting to get some paperwork straightened out, and instead they're being brought into custody with their children. They're being given the ultimatum of, well, we can either keep your children with you, or we can separate you from your children, and you could just trust us to do whatever's right with your children. Could you imagine any mother, American citizen or otherwise, in that circumstance, trusting that their children in the hands of ICE would be treated humanely? Absolutely not. That is why these American citizens are being kidnapped by the United States government and sent overseas. Because when a mother is given an ultimatum like that, that is not a choice. They have no other choice but to be the guardian of their child, because they cannot trust ICE. They cannot trust the American government to give their children, American citizens, the right to due process, because they're experiencing the lack of due process right there in the moment.
Hey, it's Ken Harbaugh. Huge shout out to everyone who has supported this show via our Patreon page. If you want to weigh in with questions for upcoming guests, or give us feedback on past guests, or make sure you never miss an episode, click the link below. It's free to sign up. And if you're able to pitch in a few bucks a month, just know that we put every dollar back into the show. We do have another reporting trip to Ukraine coming up. Thanks for the help. Do you get the feeling that this administration, the functionaries like Stephen Miller and HUMAN, they actually get off on the cruelty? Yeah. It's not an unfortunate, it's not collateral damage, right? It's part of the strategy. What's the saying? It's a feature, not a bug. They think it telegraphs something about their intent and their strength that they want to amplify. They're not apologizing in any way for the cruelty.
Yeah. And, I forget if it was the Atlantic, whatever the headline was, the cruelty is the point, is exactly getting to the heart of the matter.
Yeah, Adam Serwer, I think, full credit where it's due.
Yeah, their intent, the Trump administration's intent, and that of MAGA, is to cause harm. The thing that fuels all of this Make America Great Again movement is the idea that something has been taken from them and they want retribution. They don't want justice. They want retribution. They want vengeance. They want to cause harm. And in the mind of MAGA, in the mind of Stephen Miller, of Donald Trump, of Elon Musk, they are all victims. These billionaires, the most powerful people in the history of the world, they perceive themselves as victims, and they must cause psychological damage to American children, to American babies, so that their policy goals can be met with less resistance and can be lasting through history. All of these tech bro billionaires who name their companies after things like Palantir, they are reading science fiction novels and rather than understanding that a lot of science fiction novels are an allegory for fascism or communism, and how the rebels are the good guys fighting against the imperial, forces, whatever, universe this comes from. They're naming their companies after the bad guys, whether it's Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica. Like, these tech billionaire bros who have achieved so much power and so much wealth, they have always, since they were children, looked at the storyline of the fascist and felt, that is what I want to be. And that is what they have become. And many of us, Americans, even folks who pay attention to the news and politics and policy, we were fooled by guys like Elon Musk. We ignored some of the inconsistencies and the personality quirks. We didn't realize, like you said, it's the point of what they're doing. It's not a bug. It's the feature.
The tech bros affinity for like the Voldemorts and the Darth Vaders reminds me of Trump's riff. I think it was during the campaign on Hannibal Lecter. It's just weird to most people until you get inside the mindset where power is the ultimate virtue, not goodness, not compassion, power itself for power's sake. They have been telegraphing this for so long. And we have been raising the alarm for so long. And it was just a few weeks ago that in the Oval Office, on a hot mic, Trump was recorded saying homegrowns are next, talking to the president of El Salvador, who has been receiving these deportees. Trump whispered in his ear, homegrowns are next. And we did a story on that. And, people said, once again, Trump derangement syndrome, there's no way that this could pass muster, that we will be sending American citizens down to El Salvador. I thought it would take a couple months at least. It took weeks. And there are American citizens in these black site gulags now.
Yeah, it is. I think that people need to be aware that I am, as I know you are, choosing our words carefully. When we describe these prison camps as gulags, as prison camps, or as concentration camps, we are reading from the Holocaust Museum's website. We are reading from historians who have studied fascism, who have studied authoritarianism, who have studied the Holocaust. And we, the people of the United States, we collectively voted in a man who is sending Americans, people with protected status, American citizens overseas, trafficking them out of our country, denying them the rights guaranteed in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We as soldiers, as sailor, we swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States. And that very Constitution is being shredded by this administration.
That was part one of my conversation with Kris Goldsmith. Tune in tomorrow for part two. I want to leave you with this clip of the mayor of Boston defending her city against Tom Homan's threat to bring hell. This is what real leadership looks like.
Mayor Wu, I quoted Tom Homan, the so-called border czar, saying that he wanted to bring hell. He was bringing hell to the city of Boston. What did you understand him to mean by that?
Let's talk about Tom Homan. Shame on him for lying about my city, for having the nerve to insult our police commissioner who has overseen the safest Boston's been in anyone's lifetime. Bring him here under oath and let's ask him some questions. I am here to make sure that the city of Boston is safe. Others may want to bring hell. We are here to bring peace to cities everywhere.